Hey, what's up, Alpha Squad YouTube? It starts down again, y'all. This is that Go Hard or Go Home channel. Oh, I'm working a ball time today, y'all. It's my birthday yesterday, so I'm a little bit slow. But I want to talk about two hot subjects. If this is one of your first times watching me, I try to help guys with things like the manosphere, red pill type stuff. This is general dating things. But two hot subjects that I think a lot of people try to stay away from that I'm gonna go into today is status quo being part of the game, if you want to call it that, and should men start to consider, saying a woman's money when it comes to dating. Those are two hot subjects I think a lot of people try to stay away from. So we're gonna get in this first one today about status quo being part of the game. All right, now what's status quo? What is that? Okay, pretty much is basically where you was born at or where you at in life right now, society, those type of things right there. All right. An easy way of explaining to most guys is to say hypergamy or hypergamous dating. If you understand hypergamous dating, you understand status quo. Okay. You know that women date up, and that's what they prefer. Okay. Now, them dating up, they're in categories and the guys are in categories. So what you gotta start doing as guys is understand this status quo thing. Like it is the real reason that you have a problem in the dating world right now. The main problem is that women guys are saying they're rating themselves too high, but what they're really doing is they're they're overshooting their status quo level. You don't come from that. You're trying to act like a bougie princess, but you were not born rich. You don't even come from a two parent household. They talk about that a lot too. Like that's really gonna help things out that much. I mean, and it probably does, but the majority of people don't come from that either. So gotta understand that there. Majority of people don't even come from that. That's one thing they're already telling you. So you're not rich. You don't come from a two parent household, and do you accept who you are? Most guys accept who they are already, but women, not so much. Um, you got a big problem these days. For some reason, you got women that they're not dimes, but they act like it, or you know. But the status quo thing is still a part of that. That's why guys. That's why this thing with guys and dating and women and going back and forth, and women are saying, "Oh, why guys are not coming up talking to us?" Because most of you are out here, thinking outside of the status quo or where you belong at. You know, I'm a five. My parents wasn't married. I didn't come from money, but I want a guy whose parents were married, who comes from a whole lot of money. I mean, like you got to understand. So that's what I say. Status quo is part of it. These people want this thing, but you got to understand that the person at the top is they're getting groomed against that. Their parents not gonna let you do that. Look what happened with Meghan Markle. She married that guy, Prince Harry, and everything, but they pretty much just excommunicated this guy from the royal family. Pretty much what it is. Now you live in California and you're not really next in line for anything no more. So you do what you want, what's gonna cost you. The family wasn't worth it. They wasn't down with her status quo. Most people who like parents, they came up in money, are not gonna let them marry somebody poor. It doesn't even work that way in the fairy tales. Look at stuff like Cinderella and all the other good stuff. She had to go look rich to go hang around with the prince. One looking at you didn't know to come down there and do none of that junk. So the status quo thing matters, guys. It matters a whole lot. People don't want to put that in there because like it's like almost saying that where you come from and where you at kind of defines some of who you are, but it does. Last week I was talking about something that I was, and one of the examples I gave was that if you ain't, you haven't chose yourself, if you stay at certain levels in life, You haven't even chose yourself, and that's gonna show over time. And everybody sees it the same way. Even the person that's doing it sees it the same way. You know, so people got to keep that in mind. When you understand the status quo is part of it, it makes it a whole lot easier by doing this. You know that the minute you see somebody that's not staying within their status quo, you need to get away from this person. Okay, it's not one. That's not no. Don't try harder. No, don't do that. You need to get away from this person because they are already aligned to themselves. So anything that you doing with them is going to be a lie. And they'll never see the truth to see you really for who you are because they got this whole thing where they don't even see themselves for who they are. That's a big problem in the dating game right now. The guys talking about like hey, guys don't the normal women don't want regular guys. I mean, I get that, but it's because they're not seeing where they come from. They're not looking at themselves like, hey, look, who this is who I am. Now there ain't nowhere around that, guys. The best thing that the people could do is to try to find it. People could. There's a big percentage of people right there that do that. Try to find the people that don't do it, or like I always be saying, make sure you got the money and the finances, whatever. You might have a passport or something. You can go other places, or you can just deal with different levels of people. All this thing is based on different levels of people. It always boils down that that's everything. It's always going to boil down to. So status quo is part of the game, folks. All right, where you come from, your level of living, all that stuff kind of plays into who you're going to be able to date, or you should be dating also. Because see, you can get a hold of people that you shouldn't be dating because they see your status quo, and that's one thing that people got to understand too. Okay, you got to be looking at it like, okay, I can't take this. Hey, if this girl on this level right here, yeah, I might can get it, but I can't keep this. You know what I'm saying? That's why this is like I was saying earlier about the status quo thing, guys. People in higher levels not gonna let their kids go down to deep, low level people. They don't do that. That's not how it works. We all know that's not how it works. So when you got to look at it from the guy's point of view, you got to be aware of this thing because it might be like, hey, I got money, but I'm hanging out with chicks that's losers. You know what I'm saying? Especially with hypergamous dating. That junk can happen real quick because most guys are used to dating down anyway because of hypergamy. But these Joes got to start having something. We're going to get into that subject here a minute ago, in a few minutes here, about should you start considering women's money when it comes down to dating because I do think that guys should. We're going to start to talk about that a little bit here. We're talking about the status quo thing right now. You know, you got to understand it because if you don't, you can wind up playing yourself because of it or getting played because of it. Okay, that can happen both of them. You could be going outside of your status quo and that junk, don't work out because it just ain't gonna work out anyway. Or you can play yourself by dating somebody that's below your status quo. It's kind of based on hypergamy type thing, but they're just trash. When I get into this next subject and talk about should guys start to consider women's money, I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about like, hey, you know, what are you getting back out of this situation as the guy? That's why status quo got to be looked at too. We're used to dating down, but since women have made this obvious about money and all the other good things, maybe guys should tighten up their belt a little bit too. Because if it's gonna be about your money and you're this and that, then you should get exactly what you want. That's just the way I see it. Y'all drop the comments, let me know what y'all think. But if you gotta, if hey, if it gotta be all about the money, I should be getting exactly what I want. It winds up not happening because a lot of guys, when they date down with this whole hypergamous thing, they take women that's not just beneath them, but way lower. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe men should start to consider a woman's money when it comes down to dating things. Because since they're putting so much into money and jobs, we're gonna go into dabble in this subject for a little bit and talk about the status quo along with this. Since they're putting so much emphasis on jobs and things like that, you gotta start looking at like, okay, your job compared to mine, and what the hell is they gonna bring into the house? Because you're gonna be the one who's gonna be looked at for taking care of the house. Can you build a big house or have a lot of nice stuff with this woman who barely getting any money? Can you do it? Yeah, but it's gonna be a lot more work on you. Hey, you do what you want, but just that's not his thing. I'm not gonna have somebody in the house who's getting a whole lot less and talking about equality. You can't pay half on the bills, but we gotta do equality. No. Uh-uh. A lot of guys' problem in relationship is that, guys. Is that right there? Status quo problems. You're in a relationship and you gotta be equal to somebody who ain't showing that they're equal. It's gonna start to affect you mentally sooner or later. That's why a lot of guys in all these sexes and all the other relationships and things like that. Like, yeah, because homie, you're playing yourself. Why shouldn't another person play you? Think about this, guys. You're in a relationship with somebody and they can't bring nothing to the table, right? You the only one who always got to pay. But this person, you got to be their equal. That's like it just that doesn't work in none of the not even the dating relationship not dynamic. It don't work in that one. It don't work in regular friendships. It don't work in like being somebody's boss. Or it doesn't work in none of that. You gotta take care of the person, and then they your equal. That doesn't work in anything in life. I understand why a lot of relationships don't work no more because it's got guys trying to do that instead of trying to make sure this woman, okay, you is gonna be my equal. We're gonna do this together, and then she be there because she wants to be there, and then it won't be no problem with her being your equal. It won't be none. But for a lot of these people out here right now, there's gonna be a lot of problem with that. Why? Because you didn't. The first thing was the status quo. You went so far down, way, 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 way down, that this ain't just a few feet below you. This the inches, but this is a few feet below you. You pick that up. I think guys are so used to being trained to be the provider and be all of this and that they haven't stopped to think. Well, it's happening now, and then and on this channel, me talking about it, stuff. It already happening though. But I don't think guys will stop thinking about what you're getting back out of that. And this person wants to be seen as your equal, but they can't go half. It's like a lot of stuff that people stay with. Hey, status quo. People don't like that one. Why? Because it said it's basically telling you that certain people and certain things, yeah, they just don't go together. Money don't go with certain types of people. Money don't go with certain types of things. It's the truth, but people try to stay away from that one. I try to talk about it because like you can't do nothing about something that you run from. Okay, you gotta know that hey, this status quo thing, it's part of the game. It is what it is, and just like it get used on me, I gotta use it on other people. There's certain women they might like me, I might be able to hang out with them, whatever, but they might not fit the status quo a certain type of way. But this person ain't gonna get treated the same way I treat this other chick. See what I'm saying? Guys gotta understand that. Hey, a lot of people they out here they treating everybody the same. And that's another problem that done come about with women because a lot of guys treat all the women the same. And no, the status quo thing it's got to count. And I'm starting to think personally myself. I would like to get comments back on this one if anybody watched the video because I'm gonna keep this one short so that people can watch it. You know what I'm saying? But what do people think about should men start to consider a woman's money in dating? What should we do that? And we have guys already started to do it because they're gonna consider yours. And I don't think guys, even if they consider a woman's money in dating, it's not even gonna be the same as how women do it. It's not really gonna be based on what you can give me. It's really gonna be based on more. Can you take care of yourself so I don't gotta do it? That's more how we would look at it. But y'all drop the comments. Let me know what y'all think about that one. We're about 17 minutes into here. We're gonna go ahead and close this one on out, guys. I wanted to talk about those two little things real quick, and I'll leave the video a little bit short so that you can drop comments. Let me know about. Hey, do you think status quo is part of the game? Do you think that? Hey, look, a ghetto chick ought to be with a ghetto dude, or a poor person be with a poor person, rich person be a rich person. Most of that happens anyway. But do you think that should be the rules? And then also, should men start to consider this thing with women's money when it comes down to dating? Because, like I said, most guys are really gonna look at it as like, you know, not I want her money, but she's got her own. She can take care of herself, and I don't have to do it. As opposed to how women gonna look at it with your money. They want some of that. You know what I'm saying? But y'all, this starts down here. I just been a Go Hard to Go Home channel. Y'all drop the comments, let me know what y'all think. And y'all make sure you get like, subscribe, share the video. And let's get a question out there. Let's start figuring this out. Like, should we start the guys to consider a woman's money in dating? I think so. And it's status quo part of the game. Y'all's been good running with y'all today. I'm out here on this one, y'all. Peace.